Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, we are going to be entering the Malefic world. Yes, you heard me correctly, the Malefic world, aka from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. But the Malefic deck is what we're going to be profiling for you guys today, and we'll be entering the Malefic world. This deck is a really fun deck. You know, I have a lot of roots with this deck. I used to play this before the new support came out a couple of years ago as an anti-meta deck. You know, we used to run this as in anti-meta strategies with Cyber Dragon because he's so big. Stardust Spark Dragon can protect your field spells with Necro Valley. There were some cool things you could do, especially when Skill Drain was at 3 of some years ago when this deck was out. Sadly, it fell off completely because the deck just got power creeped to pieces, but eventually Konami gave support and revived this archetype to have a cohesive engine, a cohesive strategy, which was really nice because they really handicapped Malefics coming out of the gate. But yeah, I've always loved this deck, and it's so cool to profile this deck even in 2021 because there's a lot of history with this deck and the different ways you've played it throughout the years. So without further ado, let us get into the deck profile. So first we run our 3 Malefic and Dragon. This will help go for some of your level 10 Exceed monsters, which is nice. If you guys are wondering how you're able to get 2 Malefics on the field, there are certain cards that have come out, with the new support that they've gotten recently over the last couple of years that allows you to have multiple Malefics on the field, which was the handicap of this deck. So you can have 2 of these on the field, go for an Exceed play. But he's also going to be your main boss monster or beat stick of the deck, being level 10. So he's a beat stick for the deck. Next we run 3 Malefic Paragon Dragon. This card is really interesting in the way that it can be used with level 8s, which is kind of nice actually, I will say, and the ability to recycle things. I like him as a 3-of. He is pretty much, I would say, your boss monster in your main deck in a way. Not just because of attack, because of his little bit of versatility he has, but he's a really good card to have in the deck for the different things you can do with recycling when it comes to banish your banished monsters. It frees up some extra deck space to some degree, I found out, so I put other cards in there. They're just utility cards. So I like this card staple as a 3-of. It is, but it's really nice to have, and this came out last year, so really like that. Probably one of the most iconic, I guess you could say, Malefic monsters is Malefic Stardust Dragon. This was used in many different strategies, if you want to know a little bit of context. Back in the day, I remember specifically running this in my Gravekeeper deck because this would help protect Necro Valley back in the day. So really good card. It saw use in a lot of field spell based decks for protection of those field spells. But 3 Malefic Stardust Dragon, really good for protecting your Malefic world because it's more essential in this deck because you want to protect your field spell and not get it destroyed so you can keep doing your normal plays. So 3 Malefic Stardust Dragon. Next we run 1 Malefic Blue Eyes and 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon. I found that personally from playtesting, some people like running the Rainbow Dragon, which is still something you can do if you wish. Me personally, because of level 8s and whatnot and being able to run trade-in in the deck, which was nice in some instances, I decided to run the Blue Eyes one instead. It works out pretty well. It's very nice. I haven't looked back after playtesting this deck over the last couple of months, but I definitely like the 1 Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon. I mean, this is Seto Kaiba, so I mean, you tell me, man. Like, am I gonna run Rainbow Dragon or Blue Eyes? Yeah. But I say that jokingly, but also the 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon as well. So that's all for your boss monster, your big beat stick boys. Then we run our Malefic Paradox gears. This one here, your Malefic Paradox gear, really helped bring a lot of things together for the deck. The ability to search your Malefic monsters, the ability to tutor out from your deck your Malefic Parallel gear, which can help you go for synchro plays and do things of that nature. It's a very useful card. The fact that you can even banish it from the graveyard to give protection is really nice as well. So it's a staple 3-of. I know some people like getting multiple of these engraved, and they run machine duplication, but that's up to you to decide. But in addition to that, we also run our 3 Malefic Parallel gear. This can be used for your different synchro plays. It can be tutored out from this. It's very easy to get out. I like it as a 3-of still. Some people like it as a 2-of, I've seen, but that's just me. That's the ratio we're running for the gears. On to your other cards. I do like Ash Blossom in the deck. as a 3 of. I want some hand trap protection in this deck. I wanted some, you know, a little bit of stuff. This deck is not meta, but it can do decent at locals, and it's a fun deck. But Ash Blossom is really going to help this deck, because while this deck is very powerful and can bring out big monsters, it's somewhat a going second deck because you can put a lot of damage on board, and Ash Blossom works very well in going second decks. But overall, it's just a good generic hand trap. You can replace this for whatever you want. Next, we run 3 Malefic Territory. This card makes the world go around in this deck. This is the card that helped Malefics out probably the most. It's a staple 3 of. In my humble estimation, I feel like it's essential. But 3 of that. 3 Malefic World. Some people I've seen tech around with other field spells, with Trick Room, like they'll run a Necro Valley and something of that nature. But me, even though Malefic World is not the greatest field spell ever, in this deck it's really nice to have as a 3 of, I find. So that's why I decide to run Malefic World as a 3 of and 1 Terraforming. This deck is a field spell oriented deck in the fact that it relies upon its field spell very heavily. So you want to get to it as soon as possible, and that's why you even run the Terraforming. You want to get to it. So it's decent, but it works well with some of the plays in the deck. Next we run double Malefic Divide. Some people like 1 Malefic Divide. Some people like 2 Malefic Divide. I'm going to be honest with you. You could run either ratio. It is personally up to you. I like 2 of because of the cool little some cool little plays you can do with it. It does take some setup, I will admit, because the monsters has to be engraved. But I will say at the end of the day, it's a decent card as a 1 or 2 of in the deck. It's up to you. 1 Malefic Selection. I know people that like running this card as a 3 of. I don't like it as a 3 of. 2 of I get, but it takes setup. It takes setup. And I get with Malefic Paragon Dragon it's a little bit more useful. I get that. But the main reason, it's not because of that card. It's because it takes legit setup. Because you have to banish 2 Malefic cards. That is easy, but it also takes setup. I've had brick hands in this deck, and it sucks when you get brick hands. And this card is sometimes like the brickiest of bricks. That's why I don't like 3 of. If you're going to run it, 2 of or 1 of. So that's up to you to decide, but I just like it as a 1 of. It's a nice card, though. For draw power, I like double Allure of Darkness and triple Trade-In. You can play around with the draw cards that you want in the deck. I mean, you could also cut, 1 Upstart Goblin. I also run that in the deck as well. But if you wanted to, maybe you run 3 Allure of Darkness and double, triple Trade-In. It's up to you. Me, I like the Upstart. It makes it a 39 card deck. There's no restrictions. I'm going to draw a card. Allure, it depends. There's sometimes I don't want to banish the dark monster in my hand. Trade-In, you're going to have dead level 8s in your hand. It could be Blue Eyes. It could be Stardust. You don't know. And for that reason, you can pitch it and just draw 2 cards deeper into your deck. So saying all this, it's up to you to decide. But this ratio of draw power in the deck has been working well for me. But again, it's up to you to decide. The last spell card I run is 1 Call by the Grave. It stops hand traps, graveyard shenanigans. It's just a good 1 of. If Designator ever comes out, maybe you switch it out with something in this deck. For your other traps, we run 3 Infinite Impermanence in this deck. You're going to shut down monster effects. That's one of the Achilles heel of this deck, I find, to some degree, is the fact that, hey, I can bring out all these big monsters, but monster effects can hurt me. So what do? You play Infinite Impermanence to stop monster effects. So it works out pretty well. The last trap card we run is 1 Malefic Tuner in this deck. It's a good 1 of. Some people like it, some people don't. It's a nice card. I do like it as a 1 of. And it's pretty decent, I find. If it wasn't searchable, I probably would not run it, though. Just saying. But let's get on to the extra deck. Next we run 2 Malefic Paradox Dragon. And this is for your big level, the big freaking dragon in the deck, the 4,000 one. But this card's pretty decent as a 2 of in the deck. We also run some other big synchros, which you can go for very easily. Geomath, the Final Sigma. This card's really cool to go for. We also run 1 Dragonus Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. This card's really cool to go for. I used to run this as multiples back in the day, but it's still nice. Next we run one Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Trees. It's not as big as all these, but it does have some built-in protection, quote unquote. I say that in quotes because technically it can be outed main phase 2. But saying all that, it has put in a lot of work for me. So I do like it as a one of. You don't have to run Leo, but I do like it. For some level 8s, because you do go into some of them multiple times, we run one number 38, Hope Harbinger. It's probably one of the better level 8s. Ningirsu is another one you could run, but I usually find myself going for number 38. We also run our level 10 package because you can go for this very easily, and you could do a bunch of damage, then go for, like, you know, Super Not Rare Training, Gustav Max, and just kill them out of the park. And if not, you can go for the other ones like Dora the Explorer and Juggernaut Libby, which should be getting reprinted soon, I think. But yep, that's the main monsters you're going to go into. In addition to that, we do run one Link Karibo and one Relinquish Animea. This is just in case something gets negated. One of your main gear card gets negated. You can just go for these bad boys here. And then lastly, we run 2 Stardust Dragon and 2 Cyber Dragon. The reason we're running these is because you have to banish something, and the reason I'm not running multiple anymore is you can recycle to some degree. So that is the extra deck. I know this deck profile is very fast because the deck is fairly straightforward. You're bringing out big bad monsters, and you're punching your opponent in the face. That's the strategy of this deck, and that's how it works. You're going to put a lot of big monsters on the board that have very high attack. You're going to punch them in the face and kill your opponent. That's how this deck is functioning now. Similar to the way you used to run it with Skill Drain, quote unquote, but different, in a different way, I guess you could say. But that is the deck in a nutshell, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I know the deck profile was probably one of the fastest ones I've ever done, but guys, it's straightforward. And, I try to make this deck as quote-unquote competitively as possible, running Ash Blossom, running Infinite Impermanence, because I will admit, this deck does have a problem against effect-based decks that run, a lot of different effects. So that's why I'm running Infinite Impermanence. A lot of things are searchable in this deck, but also Ash Blossom, it's generic. It's going to stop a lot of things. So that's why I'm running that in the deck. You want to run some meta cards in the deck just to deal with certain issues or Achilles heels this deck can have, because, yeah, I can bring out big monsters, but hey, big monsters are not everything, nowadays. You can easily get around them. So saying that, hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Hope you all enjoyed it. And until next time, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. And I'll see all of you guys next time. Take care, everybody.